Welcome to Channel X TV. Delighted to be joined by Ed Bradley, who I've spoken to so many times over the past years. But Ed, for those that don't know you, who are you, and what does your company Virtualstock do?
Hi, Chris. Great to see you again, and thanks for the opportunity to have a chat this morning. So my name is Ed Bradley. I'm actually now the CGO of Virtualstock, having been the CEO for 20 odd years, or well, quite a while, and that's because we've been acquired. So we've been acquired by a US former competitor.
That's exciting news. First of all, huge congratulations on your acquisition by Logicbroker. But what does this mean for Virtualstock? Who are Logicbroker, for those that have never heard from them? What made them a good fit for you for the acquisition?
So Virtualstock is a UK technology company. We've been going for many years now. We deal in the retail space, and we provide a dropship and curated marketplace platform for a large number of the top UK retailers, and some international retailers as well, but primarily in the UK market. Logicbroker is a very similar company in the US, and so although geographically we didn't have any overlap, on paper we were competitors. So they have a dropship platform that's used by Walgreens and Dick's Sporting Goods and a lot of large US retailers. And like you do in the industry, you kind of get to know people, including your competitors, and there seemed to be a cultural fit and a good synergy between the two companies. And so we've been speaking to them about a potential acquisition for some time, and it just felt like the right time. And so in September this year, we completed on a deal, and we're now a company several times the size of the one that we were.
So this sounds like great news. I mean, first of all, it's always good to have healthy competition because it keeps you on your toes. But having zero overlap with aiming for clients, with them looking at the largely the US market and you largely the UK market, that sounds like a match made in heaven, really. Because I'm guessing there's going to be savings on the technology side as you work on the solutions. But for both companies, you've suddenly got access to a US market that you've not really addressed before, and they've got access to the UK market, and the two together has got to be stronger than two smaller companies on their own.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it is in many ways, and it's a great size as well. So we've been sort of 45 people here in the UK. The combined companies just over 100 people. So it's a more substantial company, and with that comes sort of discipline and maturity into the business, which will really help us scale. But one of the main reasons that the acquisition took place is obviously there is a huge change going on in the market right now. Everybody's talking about agentic commerce. Everyone is really gearing themselves up for what this new world of e-commerce looks like. And actually, if you boil down the functions that we've been doing for many years within our business, and if you look at the underlying technology, what it does, well, it orchestrates orders, it orchestrates stock inventory updates from multiple sources. It normalizes product data and allows that to be published onto a platform or different sets of platforms, and all of those component parts play a very, very distinctive role in the agentic commerce as people gravitate to the LLMs to search for their products rather than the traditional sort of Google search engine that we're all so familiar with. And so that underlying infrastructure of tracking the orders and updating the stock and normalizing that product data is absolutely key to unlocking the new agentic world that we're entering into, and that's one of the main reasons for the acquisition.
So it looks like it's going to be exciting times as we move into 2026. But I've got to ask, Ed, I think you've been going for something like 20 odd years. and largely UK focused. How has the acquisition changed your outlook for the future of the business, looking to international and expansion, and especially in this new AI agentic commerce world?
Well, so it's allowing us to focus on on the way that e-commerce is going to manifest itself in the sort of coming years. We are seeing a huge shift. It's one of those, everyone's talking about it as if it, comparing it to the dot-com era, where there's sudden change and a sort of scramble to understand what that means from a retailer's perspective. And those of us old enough to remember the dot-com sort of boom years, it is quite reminiscent of that. There's a lack of understanding at the moment in general, and there's a discovery as the market unfurls, and it is doing so on a weekly basis. So what we're able to do is be a partner to our retail and brand clients, and understand, go on the journey with them to define what they actually need to do to make sure that they're harnessing the LLM searches in a way that is not familiar in their business, and we can help them sort of navigate the changing landscape. So that's really where we're focusing right now.
Yeah, and I've got to say, Ed, I obviously attended your Vision Summit a few months back, and can't wait for the Vision Summit in 2026. But even in 2025, you were talking about LLMs and agentic commerce even then, and that kind of reminds me of something else from the conference. You had City Plumbing, part of the Highborn group, at the conference, and since then they've actually launched with Virtualstock. So another new marketplace for brands to sell on. But why did City Plumbing select Virtualstock? What impact has it had on their business? And I find it fascinating because plumbing is one of those businesses it's basically 200 years old since the toilet was invented. It's one of those traditional businesses. What are they doing in the world of marketplaces?
Well, so I mean, e-commerce, has been sort of adopted by the sort of front runners of the retail world, and have recognized very early on that you can expand your business in two ways. You can add customers or you can add products. And adding products is something that we've been really beating the drum for many years now. Just scale the amount of products that you sell online way beyond the stock holding that you have in your distribution centers or in your stores. It's fair to say that the building industry has lagged behind the retail industry to some degree on that, and that's down to the nature of the way that their customers tend to buy from them. It's very much sort of relationship driven. It's in branch, and so e-commerce is less of a percentage of their overall business than it is in retail. Therefore, there's been a bit of a sort of lag. But we're really seeing now the building industry really taking off with all of this, and so City Plumbing is just the latest of the big sort of recognized brands in that industry to adopt a virtual inventory strategy to run with it, so that they maximize the sales, the revenue that they generate online when their sort of loyal customer base is searching for products, and also that industry itself fits very well because there are large ranges of products that you don't want to stock because they are, they're not your everyday items. They're ones that a plumber or might have sort of occasional requirements for odd shaped or odd sized products, and so expanding those ranges with a dropship model just makes total sense. So I mean, it's early days for City Plumbing themselves, but they're really getting behind it and really driving the sales forward. So yeah, really exciting times for them.
But I've got to ask the million dollar question. There are so many marketplaces popping up in today's world. I mean, just about every high street retailer seems to be opening a marketplace. So when should a marketplace consider what we call 2P, which is a dropship marketplace, over 1P, their own retail sales, or 3P when they've got third-party sellers on the site? Where does 2P fit in? And why should someone even consider dropship as opposed to just having a traditional 3P marketplace?
Well, the short answer is that it gives you much greater control. So the dropship element, and so the broad answer is a retailer should consider all three channels. You should have a stock portion of your inventory, you should have dropship, and you should have marketplace. And each of those performs a slightly different function. Your stocked items, they should be the ones that you
bread and butter that you're selling every day.
Absolutely. Every percentage point of margin that you can squeeze out of that range is just dropped straight through to the bottom line and is your core profitability. Dropship should be an extension to that core range. So it should be the products that you are known for as a retailer, and so that your customers can have confidence that you're ranging and merchandising a range of products that they expect you to be the expert on. You're pricing it at the price point that you're known for as that retailer, and you're controlling that customer experience. That's what dropship brings, because it is their business. It's the retailer's business. The retailer is buying and reselling that item in a just-in-time basis and just having it shipped directly to the customer from a third party.
This has been going on forever, because I remember even in the old sort of days of, you go to Argos or B&Q and you buy a garden shed, you don't pick it up in the back of your Metro and bring it home. It's delivered, and it's almost certainly not delivered by Argos, B&Q, or whoever the retailer is. It's delivered by the shed company. So this dropship model has been part of traditional retail for years. So I guess the real story is you're just automating it and make it possible in a digital world.
Well, that's right, and one of the reasons that we had success in this area is because we identified it very, very early on as a pain point for retailers. So you're right. When we started the business in sort of 2004, everyone was doing a little bit of dropship, and it was garden sheds, and it was like the large bulky items, and that they didn't want to stock. But the problem was they didn't know how much stock the supplier had, and they didn't know where the order was. So we were able to go in and fix that problem by giving them a platform that showed them exactly where everything was. And that just fixed an issue for them, just to give them visibility and control between them, the retailer and the supply base. Fast forward to today, and it's not this kind of little necessary evil, this kind of like large bulky items anymore. It is a very, very concerted, strategic direction that the retailer is going in order to maximize the revenues online and maximize the customer choice and experience that they have online. And if you're going to do that and scale it, then you need to have full visibility and control of inventory levels, the order life cycle, track and trace, invoice processing, product data upload, everything just end to end, so that you really know. You need to be able to process returns properly, cancellations, partial shipments, all of those complexities that you have in different product categories online. You need to be able to manage all of that in one central location. And so we allow these retailers to scale to do that. Now, the added component part is that as one of those channels becomes the LLM, or some of those channels become the LLMs, how do you get your product data onto those LLMs? How do you process your order back? How do payments work? All of that kind of, all of those questions and those component parts, that's what we bring to the table today.
And that's really exciting. And that kind of brings me on nicely to my last question, is just what do you see as the outlook for 2026? I mean, we're still in a tricky financial situation, not just as a country, but probably most of the world. Mm-hmm. You've just had an acquisition and merged with Logicbroker. What does 2026 look like for Ed and Virtualstock?
Well, it's really exciting. I mean, yes, there are these macro forces at play. There is there's economic challenges that the country and the world faces, and there's instability wherever we look. However, the big thing is clearly this shift to agentic commerce. We were talking to a large retailer in the States who says that the traffic coming to their site from Google has diminished by 22% in 1 year. 22% drop off in 1 year, and that is being replaced by people landing on their site, having searched for the product that they're wanting, or having a conversation through ChatGPT and other LLMs. That's the shift that's happening. And so just in the same way that it happened very suddenly in the dot-com boom, and this modernization and understanding of this new technology happened very quickly, it's happening like that today in agentic commerce.
Yeah,
like you said, I stood on stage in September. That feels like such a long time ago, and introduced the concept of agentic commerce to a lot of people in the room, and it sort of fell on a new audience. And yet 2 months later, there isn't a retailer that we're talking to that doesn't have consultants in there, doesn't have a strategy, even though it's early days. They're really preparing for this new wave. Everybody's looking at the States to figure out what's going on there, because it's logically going to follow and lag behind here in UK and Europe, but it's coming. So 2026 will be defined by agentic commerce. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I think the way I view it personally is, if you remember back 20 years ago, the high street was bemoaning this new e-commerce thing, and we're still arguing about it with business rates. Should e-commerce businesses pay more because the high street's suffering? But now it's e-commerce that's on the back foot because agentic commerce is coming, and now if you're running an e-commerce business and you're not talking agentic, you're pretty much where the high street has been for the last 20 years. You're on the back foot, struggling to carve out a niche.
Well,
and I think that's why it's so important to get this product data into the LLMs and make sure the orders are coming through the new routes, as it were. In the old days, we worried about getting orders into our shops rather than online. Now we should be worried about getting orders to our website rather than disappearing into agentic commerce.
Well, that's right, and there are casualties. If we look at Woolworths and Comet and some of the other big retailers in the UK who were sort of just recognized high street brands, fell by the wayside, arguably because they just didn't get the e-commerce right. They didn't react in time. And there are always going to be some laggards. There are always going to be some retailers that trail behind these trends. Yet we saw the John Lewis's of the world and other Argoses of the world really pioneering e-commerce. They need to do the same again. We need to all sort of really be brave and just learn what this is all about, react to it, get a strategy in place, and make sure that we are really pushing the boundaries of the new way that customers are engaging with a retailer, and not be the ones that are left behind, because we see what happens to those. They just don't survive.
Ed, it's been fascinating talking to you as always. For those that have watched this and want to find out more about LLMs and getting your product data feeds into them, I'll put your LinkedIn profile beneath so that people can contact you. But my other advice is, make sure you get to the Vision Summit next year, Virtualstock's annual conference, well worth attending, and that's where you'll get the insights. And I'm hoping, Ed, you're going to bring a whole load of new insights from Logicbroker in the US this year.
Well, we are, and matter of fact, I need to give a shout out, because we have 2 Vision Summits coming up in 2026. So we have the one in September that we do every year in London, but we also have one in May that we're going to be hosting in New York.
Amazing.
So the dates and the details about those will be published. So yeah, follow us on LinkedIn, and you'll get all of the details there.
And obviously follow Channel X, so we'll make sure you get those dates as they're announced. Exactly. Ed, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Chris.